something that occurs quite often when it comes to games, specifically games that come out every year, such as the sports titles like FIFA and obviously Call of Duty as well suffers from this, is that it can often get fatigue about sort of 3 months in, occasionally 6 months in, and games quite often spur in and out of life. For FIFA, this is definitely the case, and quite often every year, pretty much most players probably do have a moment of time in the year where they're not playing it. Just whether you've overdone it, or you're just not in the mood for it, or whether you don't like it or not, and you just don't want to play it at all. This is just a problem that it's going to happen with yearly games, especially for FIFA this time of year. Normally, anyway, when the seasons are wrapping up in terms of actual football in real life in Europe, and football just isn't at the forefront. Obviously, that's different this year. And as much as this is the case for FIFA, modes such as Ultimate Team, which is probably the flagship mode you'd say for FIFA, Ultimate Team has constant updates, it has constant Team of the Weeks, even through the periods where there's not much football going on. It has constant things going on. Right now, Team of the Season is prominent on Ultimate Team. And obviously this year is different because of the World Cup. Obviously it was revealed yesterday, I think it was yesterday, as of me recording this, at the start of this week of this video going out, that the World Cup update will be coming free in May, which will obviously keep the game running quite consistently. However, one mode that just doesn't get anything is career mode. Career mode, the mode you get in September when the game comes out, is the mode you get until September the next year, until the next game comes out, and that's literally it. Which means it can be quite difficult to be motivated to do career mode for that long. And normally for me that is quite often the case around about this time of year normally as well, because it's getting to a point where the game's been out for months. You've already career mode is fairly lacking in new features over the last few years, so you've already tried them like within day one, and it's just quite difficult to be motivated to start a new career mode. Or maybe you do want to start a new career mode, you have that sort of desire to, but you just don't know what to do, and you just sort of sit there on the menus for 20 minutes and then you don't do anything. That does happen, that has happened to me. But this year I've not done that as of yet. I'm still playing FIFA at this moment in time in what are we now? We're in May now. So we're nearer to FIFA19 than we are to FIFA 18's release in the year. And yet I'm actually playing career mode quite a lot. And there are a number of ways of doing it, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. What to do to keep career mode alive throughout the year. This includes sort of tips, I suppose you could say. I don't know if there's another word for it. Tips sorry, I couldn't get my words out there. As to what to do to keep career modes sort of fresh, and I've also got sort of a list of things you could do to make career mode feel a bit different and feel a bit more special. Now, if any of this helps you, why not leave a like? It would mean a lot. And if you enjoy FIFA videos, subscribe. Got 2 career modes going on at the moment, and one of them very much takes on one of the things I will mention later on in this video. So yeah, you'll see it firsthand, I suppose. Anyway, getting into it, the first thing I want to sort of mention is expand your sort of what you would normally do, I suppose, is the way I put it. Quite often you'd stick to certain countries, and there's obvious reasons for that. Things like England, Germany, Spain, France, America maybe if you live over there, and obviously whatever country you live in, I suppose, can fit into this. If you live sort of in the sort of these countries that I'm going to sort of name, then you'll probably play at these teams more than others. But what I mean, just sort of expand what you would normally do. So go to countries, look through countries that you never normally touch. The gameplay you're seeing in the background is from a career mode that I've started with some Polish team. I've no idea how you pronounce them. It's the away one. It's the the one that has the abbreviation ZAG. It's not Legia Warsaw. I have no idea how to say their name. I just looked at their kit and thought, oh, that looks fancy. And I just started a career mode with them. And then, obviously, at this point, you can quite easily be uninterested because it's not close to you. So at this point, you just got to make it sort of interesting to yourself. What I like doing with teams like this is just being really odd in the transfer market. Quite often in the FIFAs through the last few years, transfers have been really odd, and it does leave you questioning what they actually do when it comes to the AI and transfers. And doing that yourself can actually be quite entertaining. In this career mode particularly, I've got Sam Baldock up front, the Brighton striker. And there's something just quite funny about having a Brighton reject playing up front for some random Polish team. To me, that just amuses me. See, that might just be me, but that's the main thing from it, isn't it? It's got to be for you, and you got to do what you want. I've also had a Norwegian career mode with Bran, where I had a Bunglaho up front from Aston Villa. That was that was a thing of beauty. That was, and yet not necessarily being realistic, which is something I do tend to try and do on career modes. I do try to keep relatively realistic because it's not often that realistic, is it, career mode? But on these career modes, I just, I just mess about a little bit, I suppose, and play around. In terms of for quality and in terms of cost, it's certainly not worth it. But getting Sam Baldock because his wages are high, and you got to pay money for him, quite good money for him. But it's just it's different. I would certainly recommend just starting a career mode in a random country. It could be something like Australia. It could be like Korea or something. One of the South American teams. I mean, South American teams I've also done this year, and relatively enjoyed it. So it's just change it up a little bit. Get away from as much as. Yes, there's a better chance of you if you start a career mode in England or Germany. There's a better chance for you understanding, knowing everything, and maybe even keeping to it. But sometimes just being a bit more out there can really, really help with it. The main thing I do though, to sort of, especially at this time of year, because we're at the end, like I said earlier in this video, we're at a point now in the season where in Europe the seasons are finishing, the leagues are finishing, and we know what's going to be occurring next season in many cases. We know certain teams have gone down, certain teams have gone up, certain teams are going to be playing in Europe, certain teams aren't. And this is something you could really utilise to your advantage. And just, yes, you could be guessing a little bit, but why not? It makes it entertaining. Now I've thought of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 career modes you could do by utilising basically starting a career mode as if it's next season. Now, I said earlier that I was going to reference one of my own, and if you've been watching the Sunderland career mode, you know this is exactly what I've done for that, to change it up a little bit. Obviously, Sunderland got relegated from the Championship, having been relegated from the Premier League the season before, so they found themselves in League One next season, and I started a career mode as if it was starting from next season with Sunderland League One. I've made it as realistic as possible. I think I've made it as realistic as possible in terms of transfers and money spent and players going and just the way the club would work, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it, and that was my first sort of. That was my it's my most viewed video, the first one for one thing, and it's the first series I've had where I've actually, consistently brought in more than 10 people. So that's it. It seems to be working in some respects, I suppose. But just changing things like that, simple things like that. Just maybe look around, look at the tables in various countries, look at things going on, and just go, okay, let's do this. Like I say, I've got 5, possibly even 5. Stick with 5. 5 ideas, literally off the top of my head, of what you can do, because I've thought about doing these myself. And I might still do some of them because, I find these sort of things quite interesting. I like sort of rebuilding career modes, and this is perfect for that. Obviously, the first one, Sunderland, is a perfect one to do. Obviously, make the relegations and promotions in England as realistic as possible. in terms of what's going on in real life. Obviously, not everything is set in stone yet, so you do have to sort of either guess or predict, the most likely scenario. But it can be really interesting. And with Sunderland, just consider the fact they won't spend all their budget that you get on FIFA because the budgets can't change. So just be mindful of that, and you can have a really fun time. I think it's relegating and promoting teams early is the best things you can do on career modes. Another one that isn't necessarily relegation promotion, you could look at Chelsea, or maybe if you are a Chelsea fan and you don't really want to do it at the expense of your own club, maybe Tottenham as well, but you've got to look at the fight for fourth. A team's going to miss out. A team that expects Champions League football is going to miss out on Champions League football, and start with them in Europa League. Maybe, with Chelsea it's probably most applicable because it looks like Conte is going to leave the club at the end of the season, or there's a lot of rumours or speculation about it. So basically the scenario could be you're replacing him with the club in the Europa League, and you want to basically do what Conte did in his first season, and despite, it's not no European football this time, despite Europa League football, bring Chelsea back to the fighting for the Premier League again. Simple things like that. Going back to League One, you've got Accrington Stanley, who I've referenced a little bit in my Sunderland career mode. Promote them with a minuscule budget. Can you stay up? Simple things like that. You've also got, this one's a little bit more out of the box, but Wolfsburg, who were Bundesliga champions as close to 2009, I think. I think they were champions that year in Bundesliga. I could be wrong, but they're a prominent club, Wolfsburg. They're one of the bigger clubs in Germany, and yet for the second season in a row they find themselves in relegation trouble, and they're in 16th at the moment. I think they went through the relegation playoff last season as well. 16th in the Bundesliga is the relegation playoff spot where you play the team who finished third in the second tier. So maybe start as them, relegate them, and start as them and try and rebuild them. That's something I'm probably going to do myself. Whether I do that on YouTube or not is another thing. I'm considering it. But that's got potential to be an absolute banger of a career mode, because quite often that's the closest we can really get to a realistic big club going down in the top league. Obviously, you can put Chelsea, Man United, Man City or whatever, or Bayern Munich or Real Madrid in the second tier of their leagues, or in England even further. But there's not a degree to realism. But if that's something you find entertaining, do that. Literally just moving the leagues about is all I'm really saying here. Move the leagues about a little bit, and that can really refresh the game quite a lot. Now, one area I would say, just quite often you have to use current customised squads when you do this, when you start moving teams about. Simply just what you do is you download the latest update for squads, and then you just change, make a transfer. You have that transfer page. Just make one. I just moved for my Sunderland career mode. I just put Rodwell and free agents. That saved it as current customised, but because I already downloaded the update, that was fine. But that was fine as that. I think if you just do it without doing any of that, it will just take the squad, the transfers from August, so a lot of transfers won't be done. That's one thing you got to watch out for. But other than that, relegating and promoting teams can really reinvigorate career mode. Obviously, you've also got things like Celtic, Rangers in Scotland. Maybe in England, put them in England, make them go through the leagues. That's something that a lot of people have probably already done. I've done it twice now, I think. So that's always an option. But yeah, these sort of things can really, because career mode, you get to this stage in the year, and it really does rely actually quite a lot upon you and motivation to actually stick by it and stick with it, and if you set rules, to stick by them and things like that. At this time of year, you just don't know what to start. You don't know whether you would like it, and you might start one, get 2 games in and think, oh, this is shit, I'm going to end it. There's a lot of things to consider, and like I say, career mode doesn't rely upon constant updates. It is the mode you get at the start of the game is the mode you keep. So yeah, it relies upon you, but by doing things like this, by going to new places, by making changes to the leagues, you can really, or just making your own scenarios based on next season, simply like the Chelsea Europa League one and things like that. You can even go more outside the box, and another one that I sort of, when thinking about this video, you could do what happened to Juventus like 10 years ago now, maybe a bit longer, where they were found guilty of, they were basically doing bad stuff, and they were sent down to Serie B for a season, and quite a few of their stars stayed, so they still had like Neved, and Buffon was still there back then as well, so they had quite a star-studded squad, but in Serie B. So a lot of things that you can do. If you have done something like this already, leave it in the comments. I'll be interested to know what you've done. If you enjoy FIFA career mode content, why not stick around and subscribe, or at least check out some of my career mode videos, and then if you enjoy them, like I say, subscribe. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.